All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Sledder Cast podcast. We tend to record quite a bit up in Island Park, but I've got a first timer to Island Park.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, Mr. Trevor Farnes. We're at a Startups with Stu retreat. It is a entrepreneurial kind of personal development retreat through a shared connection of ours, Stuart Draper. And we got delighted this morning to hear from Trevor Farnes. So Trevor Farnes, if you don't know and you can't guess, there's some sort of a tie here with Mountain Ops and Trevor. Trevor is a co-founder of Mountain Ops, was the CEO until a few months ago, right?
About 5 months ago.
5 months ago.
Yeah.
And we'll probably get into a little bit of kind of what you're doing.
Yeah.
What you're doing now, but knowing what we're going to talk about today, the conversation we're going to have, what is one thing that's going to get that person who's, swiping on YouTube or sees an Instagram reel and sees that we're having a conversation today with Trevor Farnes and Mountain Ops? What's one thing that you can tell that individual that's going to excite them enough to get them to stop what they're doing and watch the entire episode here?
Yeah, I think a connection to our brand at Mountain Ops and through our product will allow you to fuel your adventures more, but also will allow you to be a part of conquering hunger throughout the world. Just by supporting us and by coming into our community, you will help us in this journey. We've now fed over 7 million meals to children in need through Operation Conquer Hunger, which is our initiative at Mountain Ops, and it's all fueled by our customers through our product. So I hope that people dive in to learn about what we're doing, not just by selling this product, but what the proceeds go to help those most vulnerable in need around us.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to dive into this. So ready or not, here we go.
Sweet.
The reason why, I've been wanting to get Trevor Farnes on the Sledder Cast podcast for a long time. And we've started seeing more and more snowmobilers, seeing more and more of your brand penetrate, the community that we're involved with a lot, right? And so, and I've been, and as Trevor knows, it's funny how I've heard you tell a couple of stories of the logo.
Yeah.
Right? People saw the logo, but I'm a marketing guy. This was 2014 the first?
When we started, yeah.
The first Western Hunting Expo.
2015, February 2015.
Yeah, so that was the one I was at. Didn't know Mountain Ops.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of Mountain Ops before. Yeah. I'm down in Salt Lake visiting some family. Decide I'm going to go check out, the hunting show. Pop in and I see this big orange logo, and I'm an admirer of good logos.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm like, what is this Mountain Ops thing? And I probably saw you, and I didn't know anyone who you were, but I thought, man, that's a cool logo. Caught my attention.
Yeah. And
they're selling something I can put in water, like a supplement. And I was already a consumer of, pre-workout and stuff. And I remember, I don't know if it was there that I got it or if I bought it. I can't remember. It was a strawberry lemonade.
Strawberry lemonade.
Was that probably one of your first?
Strawberry lemonade, and there was a strawberry banana.
It was strawberry banana.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was strawberry banana. I got the sticks, and I remember that. So that September was I remember thinking I was so cool consuming Mountain Ops while I was hunting, and you guys are just a small company, but man, over the last 10 years, the growth that you guys have had
has been incredible.
Has been awesome. And I'm sure, a lot of you, if you didn't start or originate or are part of the hunting community, you may not know about Mountain Ops yet. But I'm guessing a lot of you that's not a new mark that you've seen, and and you probably consumed a lot of the product already.
It's awesome.
So anyways, we've got a fun little interview with Trevor today. I'm excited to get to know more about Trevor. I've got some questions. Trevor got drilled all morning and delivered an awesome presentation. And really, all you need to do is probably go to YouTube and search your name up, and you can find a ton of content that you've created.
Yeah.
Around kind of the program and mindset that you're teaching and sharing with, and just kind of the story of Mountain Ops, because it's super fun, super inspirational. But
thank you, appreciate that.
For someone who are just turning this on and they don't know Mountain Ops, right? What do you guys do?
Yeah. The OPS, if you just even look at the name, I love to explain it in that sense. It's OPS is outdoor performance supplements, and we use them in the mountains of life. The actual mountains that we play in the outdoors, we sell a lot of our product through the hunting and outdoor industry. I love that we're crossing over into the snowmobile industry and that you're helping us with that, because we want those adjacent markets to enjoy the benefits of our product doing what they love doing, But it also there's some metaphors to life. Our wellness program, most supplement companies, it's all about the physique or whatnot, or the physical. We definitely hit it in the aspects of spiritual, physical, mental, social, and conquering those mountains of life, or those achievements that we're going after, or the mountains that get in our way and we're struggling to climb them. We've built a community to help people do that. Yeah, we sell a product and it helps fuel that, but it's all about community and connection that we help people rise.
Yeah. And I've got some questions later on about the community, because I've worked in a couple different companies while watching the Mountain Ops story grow, and honestly, I've really looked up to how you guys have really built out I honestly don't know a company who does it better than Mountain Ops.
I appreciate
like the
that.
community aligning with like the right spokespeople to kind of lead those efforts in growing that community.
Yeah.
And so, you guys are leading out in the front, and it's fun to watch. But we're on a snowmobiling podcast, obviously. So, as a snowmobiler, like, why should a snowmobiler be interested in Mountain Ops products? So there's the aspect of, okay, what could I use like while I'm recreating on a snowmobile? And then, a lot of snowmobilers are grinding, they got their own businesses, their construction, there's life, right? So
yeah, and it's very applicable even to our hunting audience, or a mountain biking audience, or the snowmobile audience. We're all doing and living these passions that take effort. They take hard work. There's movement involved. I'm not a super skilled snowmobiler, but I've done it enough to know the effort and the technique and all that goes into it, and the wear and tear on your body. And so we really want people through these products to be fueled in the adventures that they take in life and be able to do them longer and better than they could without these. And it's a supplementation, right? So it's just adding to what you're currently doing with nutrition and fitness. To get out on a snowmobile and maneuver that machine, you want to be fit, you want to be healthy. You don't want to get into a precarious situation out in the wilderness or wherever you're at where you can't make it out alive, And I'm not saying, those experiences are going to happen to everyone, but when you're out enjoying those things in life, these activities, you want to do it with a healthy body. So there's that aspect of it. But then everyone that's out pursuing that, through snowmobiling, through hunting, through fitness, whatever it is, they go home, they have life, they have business, they have family. We want people to keep up in those most important areas of life where there's relationships involved. And when you're living a healthy life from a spiritual and a physical and a mental and a social aspect, then you really can contribute in those areas of life that matter most, and especially within the walls of your own home. So if your listeners are, mothers or fathers or husbands or wives or whatever they are, like, you want to keep up with the demands that children bring, or that, all the activities. I'm a father. We're super busy with our 4 kids. And so I utilize the Mountain Ops product just as much out on the activities in the mountains that I do as I do just for my daily work and my daily fatherhood and as a husband, and keeping up with all those activities. So it's Mountain Ops is all about fueling those passions, those adventures, the day-to-day work-life grind that we all have responsibility over.
Yeah. So as someone who's sitting here and maybe they're supplementing with another brand, right? What would be kind of like, I know you kind of answered it in that last question, but like, what would be like the sales pitch of like what's unique or different about
there's differences in product, and then there's difference in culture and community that we've built. So when you look at the product in and of itself, every supplement company is going to say we have the best ingredients and the best flavors. I truly believe that we do, and when you try our products, you're going to taste and you're going to feel the difference. A lot of products you might try and it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm feeling something. Is there a placebo? I want to feel something. So you're going to taste and feel the difference. We're very confident in telling people that. But then on top of that, if you're comparing yourself against everyone else that says you're going to see the same thing, what is the business doing in the community? What is it doing for the customers that's unique and different? And we take a portion of every sale on our website and we donate a meal to a child in need. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge initiative of ours. It's called our Operation Conquer Hunger, because there's plenty of people in our communities here in the United States, throughout the world, that could never fathom supplementing for their nutrition. Yeah. They're looking for a meal or two each day. And so we have an opportunity and a responsibility that I feel comes along with owning a business and building a resource to put those dollars to use, and there's a stewardship over that. So you get to be part of a community that is really there to help you in life, but to help maybe those most vulnerable and in need that can't help themselves. Yeah. And our customers are all a part of that. Every order that they place funds that opportunity to feed a hungry family or child.
Yeah. So during your presentation today, I should have it memorized, but a conversation was brought up, or a statement was brought up. Let me pull it up real quick. I think I wrote it down. People want to spend money in a brand that they can trust. That's what I got from that part. And I thought that is so true. With so many options, I mean, we deal with the same thing. We're not the only graphics provider out there. Same with you guys, but you're trying extremely hard to build a brand that is connecting with people to make them feel like like and trust them. And if there's an opportunity where you can spend money at A, B, and C, right? You're going to go with that company that makes that gives you that like and trust aspect, right? Yeah. I think you guys have done a great job.
No, I appreciate that, and I think the trust is built when you state to the world, here's our mission, and here's the core values that will lead and guide our mission. Yep. And then they see you living true to that. Mm-hmm. They see you coming through for them. They see you treating them in the way that you say you will, with the golden rule, or with, service or family. Our number one core value is recognizing God. So how do they see us actually living that in our workplace or on social media or at events? Can they see that we believe in God, that we recognize His hand in all things? And when they can feel that and see it, and it's all lined up where it's like, okay, this makes sense, then there's trust that's created. Yeah. And when people are careful with their dollars, where they're being spent, then I personally am going to put it where I know this brand. I kind of can see the heart and soul behind it in the people. And so I trust that what they're doing is actually going to benefit me. I trust the product. They wouldn't skimp on the product or ingredients. They're going to provide us what I need. Yeah. They're going to put those dollars to use to help feed the hungry and that type of thing. And so you've got to show up in the way that you say you are on paper. It's got to be actually lived more powerfully than having words on a wall or on a website is watching a company live true to their core values. And then incredible trust is created, credibility is created, and longevity with those relationships is created.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, you guys, so there's been a ton of success, right? If you want to know how much success, I think you can just go to your homepage and see how many meals you've donated. And if you want to do math that way, you can say, yeah, these guys have sold a lot of product, right? Yeah. You've been able to help a lot of people. But what have been what's been an unexpected challenge in scaling your company, Mountain Ops, that you can look back and say that one definitely sticks out? And what was how did you guys? How are you overcoming that, right?
Yeah, I think the initial challenge that we found still continues to be some of the challenge today, but we've been able to refine the process, and that is educating the consumer on these products and why they should take them. You look at the audience that we've gone after, it's primarily been this hunting audience that didn't work out in Gold's Gym. They worked out in God's Gym. They didn't go to GNC to shop for supplementation. There wasn't really a supplement brand speaking their language. And so 70% of our consumers were trying supplements for the very first time because it wasn't showing up in the places they shopped. It wasn't in Cabela's. It wasn't in Bass Pro Shops. It wasn't in, their Farm and Fleet stores. Now we're in those places. And so they're like, wow, what is this energy product? What is this pre-workout? What is this protein? It started to resonate with them. It started to look and feel like them. And so we had to educate, and education can be hard. It can make the process of selling to an individual a little lengthier. But that is what we're continually focused on, is finding the right way to make sure they understand why these products benefit them in the outdoors or in their family and in their work, And so when it's something they're going to consume, you got to make sure that they can trust that, like, there's education around this, there's science behind it, and then they can participate in it. But that's been kind of one of the major challenges along the way, is it being introduced to new audiences and trying to educate them on why mountain ops and what is it going to do for them.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys, we talked about this a minute ago, but with the community that you guys have built, the size of that community within a single space like hunting, I think, obviously helps build that trust in, word of mouth type of, hey, if so and so's using it. A prime example is like my mom and dad, like their monthly mountain ops bill is greater than mine now in life,
awesome.
right?
Love it.
And so I've gotten them hooked. I mean, they got themselves hooked, but they love the product, word of mouth, right? Yeah. With the community that we've got here at Deviant Inc. and the Sledder Cast and in the snowmobiling, there's a lot of athletes and individuals who are looking to be ambassadors for brands that they love and want to get behind. Yeah. You guys are working with, I mean, name some of the I mean, you guys literally are working with some of the greatest CrossFit athletes, hunting, professionals.
Yeah, and we try to find that in the spaces we go into, and snowmobiling fits in so well to what we're doing and where you play in the mountains and such. And so I'm excited about this relationship. But we go after individuals that do have influence, that align with core values of mountain ops. They want to be part of the mission. They see deeper into what we're doing, and it's not just a transactional deal with the product where it's like, just give me a code or give me some free product. Mm-hmm. We want them to really believe in it. We want them to see and taste the difference, and then we want them to believe in the mission of feeding hungry children and improving people's lives. We work with Cam Haynes, who is a huge hunter athlete, an ultra marathoner, but he does all of that in preparation for his hunts. He works out, and he's this fitness specimen that does that so that he can, hunt ethically and go further and longer into the mountains than most. We work with Rich Froning, who's the 10-time fittest man on earth through the CrossFit Games. These guys have millions of followers. We work with individuals like an Eva Shockey, who is kind of the huntress of the hunting industry, but now is a mother and taking care of her, doing a lot of the mommy blog stuff, but she's an incredible huntress as well. We've worked with guys like Del Brisby in the rodeo space. That's this, cowboy comedian that he's different that way. He's an athlete, but he's a funny cowboy athlete, And so, but they've all aligned with us as far as core values and mission goes. And there's a huge list of other individuals that we work with that we're privileged to work with, but it all comes down to them being able to trust us and us them, where it just is a mutual beneficial to the longevity of what we're all trying to create. And so this fuels their passions. It fuels their workload. It fuels their hunts. And for us, it helps us get in front of their audiences because their audience trusts them, so.
Hey guys and gals, if you love the show and want to support us, head on over to deviantinc.com. Use the code SledderCast, save some money on your next premium custom wrap. If you've spent any time on deviantinc.com, you already know it is the best, easiest custom wrap builder tool out there. With its new interactive design tools, makes designing and customizing wraps super slick. We're big fans of the new color mixer tool. It randomizes colors until you land on the perfect combo. The design mixer tool is a game changer when you already know what colors you want and you want to see all of our designs in just your pre-selected colors. So head on over to deviantinc.com, use the code SledderCast, save some money on your next wrap purchase. Let's get back to the show. Nice. So there's one thing you guys did, and man, if you've got any behind the scenes, would be awesome to hear here. But I was definitely tuned into Truett Haynes, so Cam's son, right? Yeah. The whole pull-up Because he did that at the headquarters,
A couple times,
right?
Yeah, 3 times actually.
So a little background story here. So correct me if I go astray here. There was a pull-up, a Guinness World Record of how many pull-ups you could do in a 24-hour period.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yep.
And did David Goggins originally hold that?
He held it. And I don't know. I can't remember if David Goggins was an actual Guinness or if it was just a world record, like by
just by saying it,
and on social. And it was right around 4,030, and he did it
pull-ups in 24-hour period.
In 24-hour period.
Okay.
Truett Haynes started at Mountain Ops. He was working in our marketing department, and I think it was the first 3 months of him working there. We've got a really cool gym down in our space there. And he said, I want to beat David Goggins' record. So it was awesome. And we're like, man,
did you guys have a connection to David Goggins at the time?
Through the Haynes. Through
okay.
Cam Haynes, through Truett. So David knew that Truett was doing this. They were calling back and forth that day. Cam was there. We had a video crew. My family was there. This is during COVID. We all took signs that said, you can do it, Truett, all this fun stuff. And he did like 4,100 in 17 hours. And so he beat David Goggins in a shorter amount of time, and then he was done. Then there was somebody in Australia that came out with another record. Yeah, and so Truett, the record was like 8,000 and something, 8,005 or 1 or something like that. Almost doubled it. And so Truett started working towards that. So he, in the Mountain Ops gym there, we've got this one bar that's just got tape and it's got his blood and sweat and everything on it, and there's Truett written across it. But he attempted, and the math just at one point was not working out. He was just not going to be able to do it. Fatigued and starting to feel sick and stuff. And so he closed it out. He wasn't going to break it, and that was the case. And he just said, "Look, I'm gonna go back to the board. I'm gonna start working harder. And in 6 months, I'm coming back." And in 6 months, he came back and he did 8,100 in 24 hours and beat that guys. So that's actually been beaten again multiple times since. So I think in this next month he's doing it again.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's been prepping for it again, and the guy is just relentless. That's kind of in the Haynes gene. They just go after things.
Yeah.
In fact, the day he was doing the 4,100 in our gym, when I first just met him, I was so inspired, and I told him, like, I need you to challenge me to do something right now, because I'm feeling like I work out and stuff, but like I need to do something. And he's like, just run a marathon. And I'm not a runner. I had some knee issues. I had a knee surgery, but I told him, okay, done. I'm going to do it. And so I looked for the hardest marathon I could do in Utah. It was the Moab Trail Marathon, and it's the mother of all trail marathons is what they say on their website. So I just decided I'll do that for my 40th birthday. So I got 40 of my friends to go do it with me. And
it was a good friend.
It was difficult. I had good friends. Most of them were like, "No way!" And I was like, "If you love me, you would." And a lot of them signed up. We suffered through it. It was honestly an incredible experience, and a lot of people have run marathons. But if you look at it statistically, it's like less than 1% of the world population has run a marathon. So Truett was like, you need to run a marathon first, and then we'll go to the next one. We'll figure out what's next after that. I thought it'd be a one and done. I've ran quite a bit since, but I chose a hard one to go after because I was like, I'll never do this again.
Yeah,
but it was a good experience. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Transitioning real quickly over to a new project. You published a book called The Conquer Code.
Yeah.
Published this in June, July, August, July of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to it. Great book. We have a written copy of it now, so it'll be fun to go back through and kind of make some notes in there. But one thing that stuck out to me in the book was you talk a lot about hardships and failures and how you can overcome those, right?
Yeah.
But one thing is the non-negotiables in life. Like that kind of stuck out of like, we all, how powerful it is if each one of us have, our set of non-negotiables, and they really are non-negotiables, right?
Yeah.
And that's so easier to say than to actually do. And so like, can you share an example or like maybe how you tackle that like concept of defining non-negotiables and how we can like actually stick to them.
Yeah, and the non-negotiables for us, there are our core values. We created a set of core values even prior to Mountain Ops, and I shared this morning. It's part of how I was raised. My parents taught principles in our home, so it wasn't when I started a business like, okay, who should I be for this business? I want to be who I am wherever I am. And that's part of the non-negotiables. I'm not going to go into business and all of a sudden in the name of business, I can be this jerk and I can be, arrogant guy that's just, overpowering everyone. I don't want that. That's not how I am at home. That's not how I am in the community. So I'm not going to be it there. I'm going to create a set of core values. They're principles that are truth. And that's how I want to live by. Am I perfect in those? No. They're things to strive to live by, and so you work on it day in and day out, and you become better and better at it. But for instance, we have a set of they're pretty bold core values. Our number one is recognizing God. Even in the workplace, we strive to acknowledge His hand in all things. And there's people that ask us, well, how do you do that? And in simple terms, it's like recognizing good. When you recognize the good in others, you recognize God, because all good comes from God. And I recognize that many people have differing beliefs when it comes to God, and I respect and revere and honor that. I just happen to have mine. And as I'm able to start my own business, I'm going to recognize that His influence can be involved. And so one of those is, at the Western Hunt Expo, it's a very large event. You've been there. You've seen our booth. It's gotten bigger and bigger over the years until the point where we're one of the main attractions there. And a lot of people come to see us, and there's a lot of products sold. But we made a decision a long time ago. I made a decision in my life that Sunday would be a Sabbath day to honor God and to honor and respect my relationship with Him. And honestly, when it comes down to it, reputational risk, in my opinion, especially as I've gotten older, has become the biggest thing. I want to associate with the right people, and especially with God, I don't want my reputation with Him tainted. And so we made a decision to not exhibit on a Sunday, and that was an interesting decision because not everyone understood why that would be the case. But we got permission at the Hunt Expo to not exhibit on Sunday. People came on Sunday and the booth was closed down, and there's a little note that we're with family and we're with God today. And we didn't do that to say, hey, look at us, look at what we're doing. It was the non-negotiable. We had set that as a standard and as a principle that we would live by, and we weren't going to let the world determine how we actually responded to that. Yeah. And everyone can respond to that or that core value in a different way, but that's just what we had decided. I went to lunch with an individual, and they said, hey, isn't there risk in that? You've got a day where there's a lot of people there to buy your product, and you're not there for them. And my response just immediately was the bigger risk is always with God, in my opinion. So those core values and those principles are all about helping us live in a manner that would be pleasing to God, helpful with His children, and build connection with those around us, and especially with Him. And so that's why we say non-negotiables. Like, we don't want that connection to be interfered with.
Yeah.
So.
In the Conquer Code book, right, you do talk a lot about your faith.
Yeah.
And, I haven't polled our audience. I don't know exactly, where that breaks down, within, our community. But the book is good. And so we share the same faith. So it's easy, it was easy for me, but there's a lot of people who don't share your faith, right? Yeah. And so how would you pitch the Conquer Code to that individual who may not, be on the same level or have the same faith or, really care about that, but still grab value from the Conquer Code? Yeah,
and the Conquer Code, it's a journey of an individual, of myself and my family, and it brings in our connection with God. I would say almost on every page, being the source of strength to make it through some very trying times. We went through some we call it our 7 years of famine, where just everything financially around us crumbled. And through some entrepreneurial investments and some opportunities that we took on that just didn't go our way. And so for anyone listening, you're going to have, if you haven't already, you're going to have moments like that.
Yeah.
You've maybe had them already. And if not, you may be going through it right now. It's not an uncommon story, but the way that we approached it, I feel like sometimes can be uncommon. But the way that we got through it was through our faith, through recognizing that there was support along the way from a higher power. And I approached the book stating right from the beginning that I recognize that many of the readers are not going to be of our faith, because many of the primary audience we went to with the book was Mountain Ops. Many of them are Christian, but most of them not of our faith. And so for them, a lot of us, we believe in the same God. We may just believe a few different things, you know? And so there's some common ground we could work on. And then from there, you know, I respect what they believe. I don't, and if they wanted to share with me, I would listen all day long. I'd probably ask a lot of questions because I'm curious. But I just stayed in there, like, I'm going to honestly share what my faith means to me. And what I've found is there's a lot of individuals not of our faith that are curious to know the life of someone like us, and why did we go on missions? Why do we do this? Why is this important? And it gives them kind of a safe read to read it and say, okay, I kind of understand where they're coming from now. I kind of understand why they do this or why they do that. And, you know, that connection to God and that source of strength, it's important to me too, or maybe it should be a little more important to me, or it's not important to me, but I see what this family went through and the cool things that they're doing through an amazing brand, you know, in partnership with their team. And so there's a journey along the way that I think most people can say, hey, I've been in those shoes. It's relevant to a lot of people. Yeah. And then some of the perspectives that we gain through that we're putting to use now, like being a family we had hunger issues. We went through these struggles and these trials. It opened our eyes to the need that was around us. And now we've taken that, we've applied it to our Operation Conquer Hunger, where we're feeding hungry children. We're helping the person that we once were. Mm-hmm. And there's something super powerful in that. And I think all of us can agree we can use life's perspective moments to help us learn and grow, and to return to those that maybe are going through it with empathy. And so, you know, if there's that kind of common ground, then I hope people will read it and find a greater strength through their Savior, Jesus Christ, through their God. But if they don't believe that, I think they'll still see, like, yeah, I can see how life's bumps and bruises and everything can help us grow, help us develop, and help us gain some perspective that will be beneficial for us and others.
For that young entrepreneur, that, you know, that guy who's struggling with his construction company or plumbing company or, you know, whatever brand it is, what kind of advice would you give to that individual who might be, you know, maybe silently, secretly, you know, keeping it to themselves more of, you know, they're in the grind, they're in the struggle right now?
Yeah, I in my book, I talk about ego. And when I was going through the struggle, I didn't open up enough. And what I would have found had I opened up to those around me was there was people that were either going through it at the same time or had been through it, and they could have supported me along the way. So if you're in that, look for mentors, whether they're people you can talk to like in person, or if they're online and you can see, hey, they've gone through something I'm going through. Look for mentors, though, that align with you on a value set, those non-negotiables. Yeah. Decide what those are for you in life, and don't detour from them. Like, figure out, like, this is something I want to do, and these are going to be the decision-making guardrails. This is how I'm going to make decisions. Because then when a moment arises where I've got to choose this or that, you can go to that and say, well, this is who I am, and this aligns with it. This doesn't, and it will detract from my brand, from who I am. And so when you're looking for mentorship, when you're looking for those that are going to give you feedback, go to people that have the same values as you, so that they give you feedback that aligns with who you are.
Yeah. And, you know, like your non-negotiable may not be the same as my non-negotiable, but I think the key there is putting in the time to figure out what would be, like, what are those.
And yours should bless me, and mine should bless you. Yeah. Like, the way that you live true to who you are and the core values you set up, it should be in a manner that blesses those around you. Yeah. And so they can be different, but I'm so grateful for the way that you live, because it blesses my life. It shows me an example. It helps me with perseverance, whatever it may be. And so they don't need to be cookie cutter. They should definitely be true to you, but they should be principles of living that help benefit those around us. And ultimately then that returns to benefit your own life. So
love it, Trevor. Okay, so let's circle back real quick. So we kind of touched on the types of ambassadors and, you know, professionals that you guys work with, right? To help share the message of Mountain Ops and grow the brand. You've seen a lot of them, right, come through, and you know, there's a lot of a similar type, but in a different industry that we work with, that are listening to the podcast. If you take a look at, like, the ones who do it the best, what are, like, a couple of the things that you've noticed that stick out, that are like these traits that these, you know, few people hold, make them really stand out as, like, the way they carry themselves, or as, like, a promoter or someone who cares for and shares the brand story?
Yeah, I think somebody that's trustworthy, and it's not somebody that's just open for business to everyone. I'll take a paycheck from anyone because I've got this influence, and now all of a sudden they're a walking billboard for anyone and everyone that will pay them something. We've found that working with those that really, really join in partnership, where they say, you know what, my brand and your brand, we align. We're after, maybe our mission statement is different, maybe our activities are different, but we're going after the same heart and soul of this. And so it's finding those individuals that are trustworthy because they're living true to their own brand, and they align with the brands that they're actually promoting. And so, and then there becomes this engagement with their audience that's true. And it's meaningful, and their audience can seek out inspiration or education or whatever it may be from them because they can trust that individual. So we look for people that they're living that way. They're living that way in their personal life. They're living it that way in their pursuit of their passion, whether it's snowmobiling or hunting. But you can kind of see it in all realms of their life, and they're willing to portray that to the world. That they are who they are wherever they are. And I would just say, influencers sometimes they can change their hues based off of the need or the desire or the want from the marketplace. And it's just like, no, there's so much more longevity when there's partnership that is just who they are, and the product and services align with that. So.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing from you is if you're out there striving to be an influencer or be an ambassador, it's figure out who you are, who you want people to think you are, and be true to that. And be consistent. Show up. Yeah,
because think of if you're somebody and you're this way, but you're now trying to be this way for that. Like I don't know. Life is too short. That sounds so suffocating to me to try to be something that you're
always
not.
Swapping, switching. Yeah.
And it comes across on social media. It comes across in person, in television, wherever it is. Like people will always be second guessing and wondering about you. And so if you just are who you are, and those characteristics are actually good. If you're a bad person, it's just like, oh, this guy's a bad person. Then you should change. But if it's just like, hey, if there's a solid set of principles that they live their life by, and it just comes through in who they are, then man, it's incredible work with them. Humble people. You could have an influence and still be very, very humble. It's interesting that some people, it goes to their head, and some people want that fame. And I look at some that have grown in their influence just because they're humbly doing what they do and love most in life. And those are the ones I'm attracted to. I want to follow an individual that's that way because they're constantly learning, they're constantly applying, they're receptive to people. They want others to succeed. They don't feel put down or there's no scarcity mindset. It's all abundance. And so that just exudes from people. That positive mentality and thinking of abundance is powerful. So, but you see it all out there. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of people can sift through
it's getting easier too, right? Yeah. It's definitely getting easier to sift through that. No, that's great. You stepped out of your role in, did you say August?
In July. In July. Yeah, actually, it was August. We had the 10-year anniversary, launched the book in July, and then August 1st started my new role. Yeah.
Your new role. And I'll maybe just share like what your new role is. Like what?
So I've been the co-founder and CEO since the inception of Mountain Ops, and I've now just hired my replacement, a new CEO. Comes with incredible experience. He was the CEO of On It, Alpha Brain, Joe Rogan supplement brand. And we were friends for a few years, so I had a trust level with him and a relationship, so it made it a lot easier to say, okay, I can trust this guy to take over my position. But I'm now, acting as founder and chief visionary officer, which, keeping the vision on track for the brand. The audiences we are with now and the ones that we want to go with in the future that complement where we're at with the hunting. So it's snowmobiling and hiking and biking and fishing and the outdoor activities that we want to add to it, making sure that stays intact. And then I'm out speaking. I'm out doing, podcasts like this. I launched the book all in an attempt to drive awareness to Mountain Ops and the things that we're doing. I have so many people, like in an event today where it's a smaller group, but it's a powerful group of guys that we were with. And, I had a few that have been Mountain Ops customers for I don't know, 9, 10 years that came up after, and they said, I didn't know the backstory to this. I didn't know the heart and soul of this. This makes me so much more excited about the orders that I place and the product that I'm attached to.
That's right.
And so I'm trying to get out and share that this is what we're actually doing in the world and in the community, and the whole community that joins us is part of it. It's what's fueling this, our ability to do good. It provides a resource for us. And so I'm out there trying to preach the good word of Mountain Ops, and help people understand that this is so much more than your before and after physique. Yes, there's a transformation physically that we take people through, and it's incredible. But through that whole process, there's a spiritual element, a mental element, a social element. People want connection in life, and so we're bringing people together in a very powerful connection way to connect, and that transformation occurs on so many levels.
So one of the things that you're doing right now, you have your own podcast now, called the Conquer Cast.
Yep.
Who should listen to that? Like, what type of conversations are you having on that podcast?
Yeah, I mean, what I want to do with that, people might think that it's just all about hunting. Sometimes we're telling the hunting stories and lessons learned in that, but I'm bringing people on that are they're from all walks of life. There's athletes like a Rich Froning that's been on. There's the Iron Cowboy that's been on. There's individuals within the walls of Mountain Ops that run certain departments of our organization, and they're on. But it's all in an attempt to help equip people with tools to conquer more in life. Our mantra is all about conquering. So we've got the Conquer Cast, Conquer More program. We've got the Conquer Code book, Operation Conquer Hunger. And the Conquer Cast is a platform where we want to share people's stories on the mountains that they've conquered, how they've done that. And so anyone listening, you're going to probably hear a moment where it's like, I'm going through that right now, or I'm going through something different, but the tool that they use, the way that they approach this portion of their life is something I can add to my toolbox of my Conquer toolbox. And so it's been super inspiring. And I've just been grateful for those that have come on. I want you to come on as well and tell your story and what you've gone through and what you've experienced in life, how you've conquered. And when all is said and done, like as a conqueror, what's the legacy? What's the message we're trying to send to our children or our grandchildren or our, those that are watching, So, yeah.
That's cool, man. So you're into, how many episodes do you guys have now?
Released, I don't know if this last week was the 6th. We release them every Wednesday, and we've got about 20 in the can, so they're ready to go.
That's a healthy can right there.
It's a healthy can, and I started we got the podcast studio ready to go, and I was so excited, and so I just started recording, and then I was like, wait, I got to hold off a little bit. I think I probably had 15 before we actually even launched the first one, and I the marketing team got everything put together, ready to go. And so now I'm kind of back on the schedule of interviews. And I love bringing people into the Mountain Ops office because it's this old historic rock and timber building built into the mountain on Mountain Road. It's just super fitting for the brand, but we've got a gym there as well. And so I'll bring a lot of the podcast guests in. We'll do the podcast, and then we pull together what we call our Warrior Wednesday at Mountain Ops, where the team gets together for a group workout. And so that participant in the podcast can come down and work out with the team, get a feel for the team members that are there as well, and do some activity together that's more physical and tough as a team, but we conquer together. So
that's fun. That sounds awesome. All right, guys and gals, Trail is one of our newest program supporters here at the Sledder Cast podcast. You can find them at trail.com. They are coming in hot with all the goodies, all the backcountry essentials. A few of our favorite must-haves are the Grizzly folding saw with razor sharp teeth that plow through those pesky branches with ease. Also the lightweight ski pole strap, a real back saver when your buddy needs that 7th pull of the day. And of course, the Trail Hot Pot exhaust cooker, because hot meals are way better than cold meals in the backcountry. So head on over to trail.com, that's TREYL.com. Grab your exclusive SledderCast promo code in the description below. Let's get back to the show. So every Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen, make sure we're also tuning in to the Conquer Cast.
Yeah,
we publish every other Wednesday.
Okay.
So
cool.
And just during the snowmobiling season.
Yeah.
So that's great. Well, we got a fun a lightning round. I kind of spiced it up a little bit for Trevor.
Great.
Usually we end like each episode with the same 2 questions.
Okay.
And I'm giving you one of them. I already gave you a heads up of what the one question is, but we usually always ask everyone, if they have a brand new snowmobile, what are 3 aftermarket modifications? If you only get 3 of them, what are you going to go put on your snowmobile? And it's been fun to see, what everyone, if you're in the snowmobiling space, what are people putting, you know, beefing up their sleds with? But we're doing it different with Trevor today. So I actually, I texted my parents. I'm like, hey, I'm sitting down with one of the founders of Mountain Ops. Do you got any questions for him?
From your parents. This is awesome.
So, yeah, they replied pretty quickly. And so, if you'd be so kind, okay? My mom would like to know when the original Peach will be back.
Oh, no.
Because it's Peach Zing now, right?
It is Peach Zing.
Anyways, she was like that. She was consuming Peach.
What's your mom's name?
Cindy.
Cindy. I'm going to take this back to the product team and make sure that they know that Cindy needs this original Peach back. I don't know, but I'm going to find out, and then I'm going to let Cindy know, and the first bottle will go to her. So
That's hilarious. Yeah, big Peach fan there. And awesome. Then, so my dad, he's always like, any new flavor, he's like, I'm getting it. But he said, how do you know what the flavor blue ice is? Am I missing? I don't see where it tells me what the flavor, like you have a name, but there's no flavor.
And there's
like
some marketing behind that, right? Where you're giving people, it's kind of like the mystery flavor of the Airheads where it's in the white packaging and you're like, I don't know what this white Airhead is, but that is actually the white it's similar to a white Monster or like a Fresca. That's that flavor.
Okay.
We don't put it on there because we don't want to say white Monster flavor or whatnot for trademark issues. But we just we created our own flavor name, and we've got a fiery pineapple that's more of like a habanero pineapple. We come out with names like Bugleberry, where it's fitting for the hunting industry, and we launch it in September during the hunting season when all the elk are bugling. But it's kind of like Willy Wonka, like who's ever heard of a schnozberry?
Yeah,
it's like who's ever heard of a bugleberry? Well, they don't exist, but it's our marketing way of saying, hey, this mixture of coconut, strawberry, and pineapple is Bugleberry.
Yeah, but do you guys ever say it's those three, or is it kind of like let the consumer decide?
Every once in a while, we'll come out and say, but a lot of times it's like no, that flavor almost starts to create its own like entity, its own brand, where it's like Bugleberry, like whatever it is, it tastes good. Because sometimes you tell people it's these two flavors, and they're like, oh. I actually don't like coconut, or I thought that was more pineapple. So it's like, because
just try it first.
Yeah, mentally our mind's so powerful. You can tell somebody what something is, and that's what they'll taste.
Yeah.
Or it's just like, I really like this, or I don't, and I have no reason to say why. I don't know what it is. We don't do that with every flavor, but it's kind of fun for the customer to say, this is what's going on.
So I told you last night I was going to give you guys a new product today. If you go back into the archives here, we did a podcast with Matt Dutch. He's famously known as Muskoka Freerider, one of the most popular snowmobile professionals and YouTubers out there. Super, super cool dude. But I was sitting down at Heydays, and we had an interview going on, and I had Mountain Ops there. And I said, I'm going to make you a concoction. This is like my trademarked concoction of Mountain Ops. Awesome. Handed it to him. Said, hey, I want to taste test, like rate it, and he compared it. He was, I think, Monster or Red Bull, trying to go that route with, comparing it to that.
What products were these that you're mixing?
I think he rated it a 9.
Wow.
And so what it is, and if you guys could just make this, so I don't have to buy 2 bottles, this would be great. It is Green Apple Yeti.
Okay.
And Ignite Blue Raspberry.
Huh.
So when you mix those two together, you get a turquoise color.
Okay. Cool.
So when you got a turquoise color, you've done
it right.
We've done it right. The chemistry is there. The science is there.
That's awesome.
And that taste is so good.
Blue raspberry, green apple.
Yep.
What would we call it?
I don't know. I've never put a name. I don't even think I've put a name to it. It's just always, it's just my mix.
I was thinking you were gonna call it like the Trevor something, but
but if you call it the Trevor something, then they're thinking you're naming it. You're after yourself, okay, right? but yeah, I don't know if you guys have any formulas that combine both of those two. And the thing is
because it's Ignite, which is a daily energy. cardio, brain function, and then Yeti is a true pre-workout.
Yeah.
So you're doing half and half.
I'm doing half and half. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting still just getting like a couple hundred milligrams of caffeine, but but it's interesting because you're adding the nootropics to the pre-workout like creatine and glutamine.
You're probably like, you shouldn't do that, man.
No, it actually sounds awesome.
But yeah,
it sounds awesome. Actually,
it's a good flavor. I've been doing it for, like, if anyone works around me, I have a bag.
That's what you do.
I have the two of them. I have a funnel.
Yeah,
and it's just boom, boom.
Do you do that before rides and stuff when you're going out, or is it during ride or before ride, or how do you?
I'll usually have one, like, I'll be sipping on it before.
Yeah,
and then I'll take it with me.
Okay, cool.
So I have a, and I'll bring water too, but I just like to have a little bit of flavor there.
I got to try this. For some reason, I was thinking that our Yeti green apple was not in line anymore, so I'm gonna go buy some. Well, I don't usually buy it, but I'm gonna get some and try it out. Blue raspberry Ignite, green apple Yeti.
It's gotta be Ignite, because maybe it's just the way I taste it, but the blue raspberry Yeti tasted different to me than the blue raspberry Ignite.
Yeah.
And so I liked it the best when it was the Yeti.
Can't wait to try it, man.
So there
That's
you go.
awesome. You're kind of a mixologist over there. I love trying stuff at home. I'll take a lot of our product and mix it in like to a sparkling water or whatnot, just to give it some fizz. But I love mixing different flavors of all of our product. Even like our immune sticks, I'll mix them into my Ignite or into my Enduro or my Yeti. So in the morning when I'm trying to get, chug it all down, I'll mix like 3 or 4 products together, and it's fun to see what the flavors do to each other. It's really good.
Cool. Okay, all right. If you could only consume 3 Mountain Ops products for the rest of your life, what are the 3?
Easy. Yeti. Okay. Hydrate.
Okay.
For hydration, and then slumber at night.
Nice.
It's kind of, that would be I would start my day with Yeti for energy. I would drink the hydrate throughout the day, and then I would use slumber to put me to bed.
Jeez,
then
that was easy.
Then I do it again the next day.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much what I do, and then I add other products to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. And I just tried hydrate for the first time this morning, and I was thinking there was going to be like a salty with the electrolytes.
Yeah.
No, it was
We've
smooth.
worked really hard with our flavor technicians, because a lot of them, there's some big companies out there at Costco selling, and they've got 14 grams of sugar. Ours has 1 gram of sugar, and it's called D-ribose, which actually hydrates the cells of your body. So it has a function outside of just being a sweetener. And we've worked really hard to not make it salty.
Yeah.
But we've had some of our ambassadors say, like the peach mango one up there. I don't know if that's what you tried.
Good.
They said that's like
good.
Beverage by far their favorite of all time, not just Mountain Ops product, not, take all
Just
beverages.
all time,
And they're like, this is my favorite flavor.
Yeah. No, I concur.
So.
Okay, what's your favorite flavor of all time?
That one. No. No, I actually, Rocky Mountain Ricky, which is a lime Ricky.
Yeah.
And we sell it in Ignite, Yeti, and Enduro, and that is by far my favorite.
That's my dad's favorite.
Yeah.
So, Rodney Glenn, that's his go-to right
All
there.
right, sweet.
The top selling product at Mountain Ops.
Ignite.
Ignite
Is
product
the number
line
one.
is.
Yeah, so many people just want energy for the day, and this is a healthy way to get your energy, and the flavors are unreal. So
Yeah. Is there a top selling flavor, no matter what product line it is, but is there a flavor that is the top selling at Mountain Ops?
Right now, it kind of fluctuates. I would say pineapple's been a huge one in the past. Bugleberry's been a big one. And tiger's blood has been a big one. If you like snow cones and you like tiger's blood, then that's big. But a lot of people are intrigued by that outside of Utah. And I don't know if it's Idaho does tiger's blood snow cones.
Mm-hmm.
Utah, it's kind of a big thing. But you go outside, people are like tiger's blood. What in the world
what is that flavor?
But yeah, it's really good. So.
Okay, well we're at the last question. This is one that is a carryover. So, what's one thing that those who are listening to the Sledder Cast podcast don't know about Trevor Farnes? What's that little secret?
Yeah, I've got quite a few fears in life. Actually, there's plenty, and I've found a way to just conquer them by facing them. And one of them's public speaking. And I do quite a bit of it now. And so
you wouldn't know that was like a fear of yours.
Yeah.
Right. But
and it's an interesting fear. It's not like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to do this. I don't want to do this. It's not that. It's more of an anxiety of making sure that I deliver something to people because they're giving me some of their time and attention, which through life's experiences, you recognize and you realize how important and how valuable that is. And I don't want to waste people's time.
Yeah.
And so I want to deliver something that can be felt and then applied in their life. And if I miss the mark on that, then I haven't given them, what they should get with their time. And so I feel a lot of anxiety over that. So,
well, there you go. There's the one secret. And if you've been following Trevor or Mountain Ops, in the last couple of years, that would be something that you just wouldn't know. There you go. Just conquering it. Trevor's had a busy morning. He's driving back to Salt Lake today. You just came, you flew in from the SHOT Show, came up to Island Park, hung out with everyone the last day and a half, and now you're heading back down to the grind. But appreciate your time here on the Sledder Cast podcast. It's kind of a little different than some of our other episodes, but I think you have to do that in order to keep things interesting and learn about new companies and new people and how they do things and how they've had success. So I really appreciate your time, Trevor. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. It's been an honor.
Yeah,
appreciate
awesome.
You. Thanks.